Poke Nerds, welcome in. Thanks so much for being here. Tuesday, November 11th, surviving the Pokemon crash of 2025. Now, if y'all pay attention, you know that there is no crash right now. In my opinion, that's fake news. Yes, there's some stagnation. Yes, there is some retracing with older sets, sets that are no longer in print, Sword and Shield and back, right? There's some dips, but that's after crazy runs. You have some retracement. That's pretty normal within the Pokemon market, but there is no crash. Absolutely not. There is stagnation, which, some folks have never seen that in this hobby, which is just kind of funny. But new stuff is still going absolutely crazy. New sets going absolutely ballistic. But my question today is, what if we do get to a crash point? What if the Pokemon market actually crashes to where it was last summer 2024, or whatever the new norm is? Last summer, I could buy a booster box, any booster box from the Scarlet and Violet era for $90, $100, right? So it's a wild thing to think about, a new booster box being that price. I mean, I literally bought a case of Stellar Crown booster boxes pre-order for less than $600. Sealed case. Wild to think about that. So that's what we're going to talk about here today. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy Pokemon content, market talk about cards, all the different things, you're in the right place. Really appreciate you being here once again. Please like and subscribe. So, what do you do if an actual crash does come? I think that's fun to think about. And I'm hopeful for a crash. I am hopeful for a crash. Now, I don't want Pokemon to go in the toilet as an IP. I don't want people to completely lose interest in the card game, in the TCG, and the collectability of it. But last summer, 2024, there was still a lot of interest in Pokemon. Absolutely. It's just that there wasn't the scalper mentality. It didn't exist yet. The sets were viewed as mid, and overall, I don't think that that's the case. I think all of Scarlet and Violet was very strong, but there just wasn't the same level of intensity. There was still a lot of interest. There always has been. Pokemon's the biggest IP in the world, right? So if you do find yourself in a crash, not only do you want to be, pretty liquid, you don't want to be leveraged in the wrong way, right? You don't want to go into a crash leverage, because if you've bought at high, if you bought Destined Rivals at 400 and then Pokemon crashes and Destined Rivals goes down to MSRP or, 200 or something that's going to feel pretty damn bad. You don't want that. You don't want to buy at the top. Knowing where the top is impossible these days, right? But not only do you not want to be leveraged, you want to have extra money on hand to spend. The best time to buy is when there is fear. When the market is scared, that is your time to strike. At least that's the way I think. I love Pokemon cards. I want to be able to add so much more to my collection, both sealed and singles. I can't do it right now. Confidence is at an all-time high. It might be dipping. Confidence is dipping a little, but within the last month, confidence had been at an all-time high in Pokemon cards. But the best time, absolutely, to buy is when there is fear in the market. When there's blood in the water, that's the time you need to get in and get as much as you can. And it's funny because that is the time when people don't want things. It's just kind of normal psychology. But like last summer, people didn't want Stellar Crown when it came out, September, whatever that might be. People didn't want the Shrouded Fable special illustration rare collection of Greninja and Kingdra. You could buy that stuff for like $20. Now the card, that single special illustration rare promo card itself is like $60, $50 to $60, maybe more. They've been having some little ups and downs, but that's the best time to buy. without question. And if you're a huge Pokemon fan, you need to make sure that you have. If you're a huge Pokemon fan that wants to be able to add a lot more to their collection, whenever the crash happens, whenever things go back to normal or a new normal, whatever that may be, you need to be able to have some cash on hand to spend because it's going to be a lot of fun. But overall, when I talk about a crash, it's again crashing back to like where it was or whatever the new normal is. I don't think you're going to see like Pokemon completely fail. That would take like an act of Arceus or something like that. This is just too popular of a card game, collectible. The IP with the video games, the mobile games, the anime, which I love the anime. I just actually got, where is back right there, the Great Adventure Collection today for like $38 from my local card store. Shout out to Rally Point. I just love that show. New Horizons, really good stuff. But it's just too amazing of an IP to fail. So it's not like I want Pokemon to not be able to sell their product. I do. I just want it to be at a reasonable price. And I don't think that that will ever happen, at least not for a very, very long time, like Pokemon failing as a brand. If that's the case, everything can go to zero potentially. But one thing people don't talk about very much is even failed card games still have collectability. So if Pokemon completely crashed and folded and went down in the tank, I think there still would be interest in the stuff. But what happens if Destined Rivals gets printed so much that it actually becomes a reasonable price? For me, I'll go buy a ton. For the people that have bought at $350 and $400, they're not going to feel very good about it. If they remain patient and dollar cost average down, they can end up being in a good situation. But if they bought it on $400 on credit and they're hoping that it goes to $600 or $800 next month, I mean, that's where you get in a bad situation. But if Destined Rivals gets to a reasonable price point in the next year or so because Pokemon just prints it to oblivion, I'm gonna go in very heavily. Very heavily. Or like Phantasmal Flames coming out this week. $300+ per booster box on release week for a tiny set. $125 for an ETB. Over $500 for a Pokemon Center ETB, which I have 2 of those coming. I was able to get those in the drop somehow. I was out in the middle of nowhere with no cell service and I still was able to get it somehow. That was a dang blessing. But that's what I'll be doing if things actually crash. I will be heavily buying. But, maybe Pokemon just can't keep up with demand for a little while. However long that is, I don't know. Maybe they can't. Maybe Destined Rivals, Phantasmal Flames, they stay at 300, 350 forever. They don't really, and shoot, Destined Rivals at 300 right now would be a major dip, but Destined Rivals is close to 400, Phantasmal Flames is over 300. If that's the case, which would be completely unprecedented, every single box that has come out has had some point where Pokemon is able to meet demand and you see a reasonable price point. That's happened like every single time, right? Evolving Skies, you name it. So if Destined Rivals never actually has a point where it gets much more reasonably priced, or Phantasmal Flames, whatever it may be, that would be unprecedented. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that there will be a time in the next year or so where Pokemon will catch up with demand a little bit and the prices will be significantly less than they are right now. And that's just my opinion. But if that is what happens, if the prices never drop for Destined Rivals, I have to be okay with knowing that I'm just not going to have everything. And I am. I'm totally okay with that. If they never get to a reasonable price, Destined Rivals, Phantasmal Flames, that's okay. I'm fine with buying singles. I'm fine with buying Twilight Masquerade close to MSRP. ETBs, Surging Sparks, which that just dropped on Pokemon Center. So hopefully that you should watch out for that booster box to potentially drop again in price. It's already down to like 240, 250. Battle Styles, ETBs and booster boxes. Journey Together, a little bit. I think Journey Together is still overpriced right now, actually. But Scarlet Violet base, buying booster boxes of that, 215, 210, 220. And then him hitting the MSRP drops when I can. Like I said, like I have 2 Phantasmal Flames Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes coming in. Might just sell those. Who knows? I wouldn't buy them from me, but if you want to buy them, sure. I'm fine with, focusing on those things, focusing on singles, making grading plays, speculative plays. I'm good with waiting this out and not participating in the ultra hyper FOMO $400 Destined Rivals box. I'm okay with that. I am. If I don't get it long term, I don't get it. So that's what I'm doing. If I miss out on Destined Rivals, I miss out, but I'm not buying it at this price point. And again, as I've told y'all, if you buy it at this price point, eventually, 5-10 years, you're going to be sitting pretty. But I don't want to feed the scalpers and the scammers and all that BS. I don't want to feed the market monster that we have created or that has been created. I want to find value in this hobby. I don't think you're doing that with Destined Rivals at $400 5 months after release. Really appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.